What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode number 412. My name is Steve. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by
Ron
and John.
Fellas, good evening.
Sir.
Good to see you both. Sir. Doctor.
Yes, doctor.
What's new, guys? Anything special going on? Anything exciting tonight? And lovely, we record on a Wednesday night. Anything fun happening?
Yeah, man. When this comes out.
Yeah, let me hear.
My short. What's the name of my short? Oh, Do You Trust Me? It's going to be showing at the Maryland Film Festival Friday at 2 something and then 3:15 the next day on Saturday. So that's May 3rd.
May 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, May 3rd and 4th. I'm really proud of it. You know, the shorts kind of traveled the world, and I didn't get into any Maryland anything except for I'd gotten to a couple. Let me stop lying. I did get into a couple. I got the Ocean City Film Festival. And then, you know, Maryland Film Festival, the two biggest Maryland film festivals, two of the bigger ones I got into. I'm really proud of myself. And this is my first thing I've ever done. I've kind of ironed out an idea for the second one, and I think I probably will need John's help with trying to figure out the sound portion of this, because I'm going from like something very simple to something a little more complicated. So I'm really excited about getting that started, getting it written.
Nice.
Yeah, so I am a filmmaker. I could say that now that I've made a thing. You know, it's weird. It's like stand-up is weird. Like, so this guy used to say to me, "You're not a stand-up till you've done it for 5 years." And, you know, I guess I'm a stand-up too in some ways. Yes, it feels very weird. And it was like 5 years and not getting paid and have gotten paid. And I've gotten paid. So I mean, I guess I'm an amateur comic, you know. So.
Right. I guess that's true. Yeah, getting paid.
Getting paid
helps everybody if somehow one of you gets paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, is it $2? It doesn't matter. You know, the money. It's a good old fashioned Slurpee. You can get a Slurpee.
Audio listeners should know there's a hand motion. Ronald is
like $1 million
bills
man
together. Yeah,
just the money. That was this theme song back in the day. Not very much thought went into that song, but yeah.
Does the Maryland Film Festival, do they have any kind of remote or like digital online thing option, or is it all in person still?
Yes, you can watch it remotely. If I'm being completely honest with you, bless their hearts, they've been very vague about all of this stuff. But yeah, there is an online portion. They aren't very clear about how to do that though. And I think that's muddy because they want you to come, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But I heard there was some online element to it. Anyone that wants to see
stuff will be up for a little while, maybe after the festival for a couple days or something.
Yeah, they do that too. They pay us a small fee because they're going to show it a little afterwards. It's going to be accessible and in some of their marketing. So I might be in like hey, I hope you enjoyed the Maryland Film Festival. And then somebody's like, "Yo, looks like shit," in the middle of that.
By the way, that's a spoiler. That's a spoiler for the short.
Oh, shiggle-daggles.
It's about a wallet that looks like shit.
Shiggle-daggles. Oh, man, that's a good word.
Yeah.
Shiggle-daggles. I think you just take that audio clip and put it over top of what Ronald said, so it didn't spoil anything.
I can let you know, Steve, I do not do that kind of editing work on the podcast anymore.
God damn it! God damn it!
Not since we went to video. Now that people are seeing it anyway, it's like, well, there's no sense in cleaning this business.
Yeah, they can read your lips. He said shiggle-daggle.
Right,
slow it down.
Yeah, trust us. He did say shiggle-daggle.
He said shiggle-daggle. I guess that's true. You guys need words like that because your children are small. I have a 16-year-old, so if I try to use a nice curse word, I'm just going to get made fun of.
Right.
I did say hilarious. What the heck to him the other day, and it's like,
whoa, pump the brakes there, John.
He was like, Dad, come on, Dad.
Dad, you're better than that.
You need to step back, take a walk around the block, think about this.
He's like, if you could just combo this curse word up, you just say MF and then you just say something else. You know,
What the heck,
combo.
motherfucker?
That motherfucking piece of shit, goddamn it. That's really cool that you could.
No, that's really cool. So this podcast, we'll try to get it out in the morning so that people actually have time to know as early as possible to see your film. And of course,
they'll listen.
We've seen it, and we're very happy.
Scramble and go.
Yeah, man.
They'll hear it. Oh shit! They'll and get up and run to.
Some of them are thinking, my wallet looks like shit. Maybe this is the movie for me.
Yeah.
Ronald, you were talking about having that idea for the second short, and how now that you've made one, you realize, like, I think it's funny that once you get your feet wet just a little bit with it, because I know with my own experience, it's like whenever you want to make something else, the second you have an idea, any part of the idea that you add, you instantly are picturing like the logistics of that part of the idea.
Yes.
So you're like, oh, then it'd be cool. And then you realize, wait, what I'm seeing right now is some kind of a shot outside of a car that's moving. And then you're like, hold on, buddy.
Take it
How
easy.
are you going to do that? Like, then you think, well, maybe we could. I don't know. It's like trying to figure out how ambitious to be is a real goal of like the level of, being a one-man filmmaking crew like that, like trying to put something together, but like knowing that the more ambitious it is, which is great to be, also the more incredibly difficult it is. So like finding that right idea that's right between something that you're actually trying to pull something cool off, but it's something you can do well. I don't know. It's a fun challenge. You got me going. I have an idea for something that as I started storyboarding it, I realized it is like, well, this involves like a traffic jam. I've got to figure out some way to film a traffic jam that doesn't involve, closing traffic or people. So that's when the idea stalled for me.
Is it Fast 11?
It's actually, yes. They have me storyboarding the opening sequence of Fast 11.
Like, man, traffic jams.
Here's the twist of Fast 11. I feel like I can tell you guys this. What happens is in the world of Fast 11, there's been all this ecological collapse because Jason Momoa ate all the scenery in Fast 10. And so,
okay. Yeah. I get it.
There's like rock slides and floods and all this kind of stuff.
Okay. Damn. So the wave is crossover with.
I think they are going to tie
the wave times Fast and Furious
as a major marketing move. They've got the leading cast from The Wave, Norwegian disaster film.
The Wave. Scary ass movie.
Yeah, Fast 10.
Yeah, Fast 10.
It's horrifying.
So yeah, I guess we're going to talk about our required viewing, Steve's required viewing, and we actually have a statement that we want to read.
We're going to talk about it. We're not really going to cover it.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, it's more like it's more the required viewing that wasn't to be, or that never was, or
it was an optional viewing. But we know that some of you out there may have watched this movie because we said we were going to talk about it. So to those of you, we are dedicating a couple minutes. But then we're moving on.
You have a statement, Ronald? You said.
So. Yeah, man. All right. So I need to let you know I'm a comedian. I've said things on stage that were offensive. I don't mind things offending me from time to time, but I do have a limit in terms of context of certain kinds of language. And this movie, 5-6 minutes into it, had an M-bomb drop at a weird time in some weird context that I just wasn't feeling. And as I was about to play it, the sky got dark. I look up, it's fucking Martin Luther King. He's like, you better turn that shit off, it's racist. I said, Jesus Christ, Martin, I turned it off. It was very offensive. And then as soon as I pressed stop, clouds cleared, it was fine. Birds started singing. Steamboat Willie started playing on my TV. It was fucking back to business as normal. So
you called an audible, I believe. I don't know if I'm using that term right.
Yeah. I didn't want you guys to not watch it. That's the thing.
You said I'll just lay out of the conversation.
Yeah, just get out of it.
I've had it with this movie, but then Steve was like, "Well, no, I mean, because the whole point of required viewing is for us to have, because our schedules are so different, we can't always see the same movies.
Look,
it's good to have a movie we've all seen. And so when you said that, it was like, well, we'll just kick it down the road. We'll pick another required viewing for next week." And we just won't cover this movie in solidarity with our friend Ron. I had to finish watching the movie myself just to see if that context changed or why that moment was in there. And I kind of want to concur that, like, it was only there to be edgy and like underscore these people are dirtbags, and the tone of the movie didn't need that word at all, and that makes, I think, your choice or your point that much more valid, which is that's like, if you're going to put that kind of word into a movie, think about how it wrecks the tone for somebody watching it. The movie also has the F slur for gay people a lot, and it also has the R word that people don't use anymore. Most people that they're thinking, feeling people that don't use, and that's used in reference to a certain character repeatedly throughout the movie. It feels like it's wearing that kind of edginess on its sleeve, and for me, it did feel like a tonal misfire. So, I kind of want to say, I feel like if we had all watched this movie, we'd be talking about this stuff anyway. You know what I mean? We'd be talking about this very issue of, does this movie know what kind of tone it wants to have?
Yeah.
Have we mentioned the movie? I don't think we have.
Well, yeah, I mean, if for our listeners who listened last week and who watched along, all four of you, it was Dinner in America, and I didn't even get that far to the point that Ronald was, and when he said that, I never went back to it. Like, once we discussed it, and it was like, yeah, let's just move on and put this one to bed. It's not worth the time,
right?
Especially, honestly, like you just said, because this is something that we all make time to watch every week for the show. So it's like, if that's the thing I'm going to make time to watch this week, it's probably not worth my time. If Ronald feels that way, I'm all about it, just moving on from it.
Thanks, man.
It's worth mentioning that Ronald sat through, and so did you, Society.
We both did.
Yeah. If anyone who thinks we're not going to somehow watch like movies that might be challenging for this segment just because of this choice, understand we have watched Society. So yes, we will continue to watch whatever film it is. But no, I totally understood, and I do think it's something that bumps me in general when filmmakers have a character, like, in an effort to make a character seem like, oh wow, we really want to show how flawed this character is. I think they really need to think about, are you totally wrecking the vibe of the movie? Or if it's your protagonist, in this case, it's not the protagonist that says the word that we're talking about, but it is still a choice to say, like, are you going to put this word in people's minds? But especially when you have a protagonist who's like supposed to be a flawed anti-hero type, it's like, how despicable do you really want them to be if we're supposed to care about them like falling in love? It's like, suddenly it's a gear shift to be like, I now care about what this terrible person, whether they get to kiss somebody. It's a weird,
and from even what you said, John, like, again, I didn't even get that far, but like, you watched the rest of it. It's like, from what you described, like a moment like that, if that's what you're going for, it almost sounded like you already accomplished that without needing to use a word like that.
Right.
And in all of those scenes, probably it's like, that's just one step too far. That, like you said, it kind of alienates a viewing audience, and it's like, you probably shot yourself in the foot because you probably already did what you were trying to do, and to make a certain person like look like a dirtbag or whatever you just said. It's just like, just step back from it. But unfortunately, doesn't sound like that happened. So yeah, so this week, no required viewing. We're gonna skip this week. I'm gonna pick another movie now, and we'll do that one next week. And this is a pretty recent release, and I it's just been kind of filling my Twitter feed for two reasons. Because it just got released to Shudder recently, and also the director of this film was also recently announced as doing. He is going to be working on one of the next Evil Dead spinoff movies. So this is a film on Shudder. It's called Infested. Yes. And it's a horror film about a rundown French apartment building and its residents as they battle against an army of deadly, rapidly reproducing spiders.
Bring it on. I was already, this is short list material for me. I feel like someone on Twitter or somebody recommended it in the last couple of days, and it was like, yes, definitely. Because I've been hearing that guy got hired for the Evil Dead movie, supposedly has a take that, like, I love the way the Evil Dead series works, where people come in and kind of pitch. And if they have a cool take, it might become the next one, and that's one of the ones that's teed up. So I love that, the idea that, like, this might be a director with some real ideas that we haven't gotten tired of their style. Awesome.
Yeah, Sebastian Vanacek is the director.
New?
What's that?
Is Infested brand new, or did it come out a few years ago?
I think it's got a 2023 like official release, but I know, actually no. Let me think here. Let me look at it real quick. 2023 it was made, but the release on Shudder was last week. So the 26th, I think, is when it came out on Shudder. So people
Infested.
have people have been talking about it, I guess mainly because of his announcement with the Evil Dead spinoff.
Right.
But now that it's available on Shudder, like between last Tuesday, whatever it was, and today, it's just like I've been seeing a bunch of people just showing love for him and whatever happens with Evil Dead, but also for this movie. Like it's just supposed to be a blast, like a great little creature feature in an apartment complex kind of thing, which just sounds awesome.
Ooh.
Okay. So yeah, Infested. It's on Shudder, like I just said, and we'll talk about this next week on the pod.
Cool.
But for this week, so in a bit, we're going to talk about some movies we've seen on streaming and then maybe one in theaters. But we've been trying to talk about some of the more recently released trailers, especially with summer movie season coming up and even stuff going into the fall and winter. But this week we got the first kind of teaser trailer for Mufasa, the Lion King, which to some shock, to some people, is directed by Barry Jenkins. So have you guys watched the trailer for Mufasa, the Lion King? And if so, please tell me your immediate thoughts after watching it.
I'm about to watch it while you guys start those thoughts. So
okay, perfect. Ronald, I know you have a feeling.
Seconds.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. Stomach started rumbling. Immediately had to poop. I'm just really sick of CGI fests. and some of it is just because I guess I imagine a world where like Pixar handles this, right? It makes like a new spin on Lion King where, you can keep the elements. I think if you want to make a different version, you don't have to have what's like live action, which means they have dead eyes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think full animation could just bring a lot more life to the environment. You could tweak things. You could make things move. It's just a physics thing that gets kind of lost in all of it. And I do know that the last one made it like $1 billion. I know it's like it did numbers. It did gangbusters.
Crazy. Yeah, insane.
Yeah. So, and look, there's an element that's going to make this thing do at least 500 million. Blue Ivy playing the voice. That's Beyonce's daughter, Jay-Z's daughter, playing the voice of Simba's kid. It's kind of like the
Simba and Nyla.
Yeah, Simba and Nyla's child. But it's like talking about the past that existed, with Mufasa and stuff like that. So it sounds like a cool idea. I just don't understand why this couldn't be completely animated. I mean, I understand it's like make everything look new, but I think there's a version of this that could have been Pixar style, could have been,
right,
Spider-Verse style, could have been. That would have been so beautiful and taken advantage of all of the new technology without necessarily looking. It's just the dead eyes that bother me. It's like all this life and then the eyes are like this. And
1.66 million.
Oh Lord, that's oh my God!
$192 million opening weekend in the U.S.
Good God, this one's. I think this one's going to do better somehow.
Better? No way. No way.
You don't think so?
No way.
I think
you just said you thought it would make a 500 million. How is that better than 1.6?
Well, it's just momentum, It's like I think there's something about.
Will it be better? Will it be better? Probably, because I didn't really love the. I didn't really love the. I didn't really love the 2019.
Let's talk about it.
It was fine.
It was okay.
So are you guys talking about in comparison to the Jon Favreau directed Lion King? This is a prequel to, essentially.
Right. Yeah. So saying, is the movie going to be better or is it going to do better? I think it's probably a better film, hopefully. But I don't think there's any chance this does the business. I don't think so.
I think it's going to be a better movie. And I agree. I just don't think there's enough. I don't know. Maybe none of us know anymore what's got juice and what's going to land. I just don't know that there's enough of a landing pad for this movie in people's consciousness. But I'm frequently surprised by a family movie like this when it hits to see like, oh, it did do that box office because there was people are ready to, it's the little early pop of, well, when does it actually come out? It comes out later in the year, right? So
yeah, this is
December. This is a Christmas.
This one's in December, yeah.
So it's not a summer or spring release. So yeah, I mean, who knows what'll be happening at that point as far as like what the main competition will be? But that is an amazing that's the right spot for a family movie like this. But I know that when this trailer hit, all I know is that in my social media, I saw more kind of rolling of eyes about it than I saw people saying it looked good. I just watched it. I'm kind of done with these photorealistic
Right.
remakes of charming animated movies, but I understand that there's a desire to present it in that way, and by that standard, this movie looks decent. I do see the idea of a different story, that they're emphasizing this is not a person who's got noble birth or noble blood or anything. This is or a person at all. It's a lion. But like I get that they're doing maybe something different, and I could see Barry Jenkins being like, okay, I get to play in this Disney sandbox with all this material and do like maybe an old school musical sequence or something. I mean, I have no idea what the draw for him was to this, except to maybe just have that level of scale and scope. But he's a great storyteller, and his movies almost always give you some emotional punch in the gut at least once, if not multiple times. So I don't see how this movie doesn't at least go for something resonant, but it's hard to know. I mean, it's hard to know like what's really there in the terms of the story outside of the difference that I said. I don't know that we need the kind of Remember Berries version of The Lion King, but it's never been one of my main Disney movies, even from the beginning. I mean, I love the aspects of the original animated film, but it was, age-wise, generation-wise, I was a little bit older when that one came out, so I like admired it more than loved it. But I would imagine for people younger than me, that movie's a huge part of their childhoods, and so I can see why they want to go back to it. But is Disney? I mean, I don't know how many more in the pipeline do they have of these. For a while there, it seemed like they were going back and redoing everything. It feels like maybe they slowed down a little bit with the quote unquote live action remakes that are all just CGI. Is that accurate, Steve, or do you know like if are there?
Yeah, I think they did. I mean, they definitely have more. In the pipeline, especially like in terms of the live action remakes that are still like Snow White still to come out.
Okay,
which is the one with what's her name from West Side Story, the remake.
Rachel Zegler.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I for some reason I have a thing now. Do you ever have this where you can't remember if a movie already came out or not? But yeah, that one.
Dude, all the time.
I for sure have that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot still in the play. I mean, there's a Moana sequel coming out. They're doing a live action. What do you call it? Live action Lilo and Stitch.
Jesus Christ.
Live action Hercules with Guy Ritchie directing it, or at least that was announced.
Guy Ritchie.
Bambi. God, there was a couple more. Robin Hood and the Aristocats. Yeah. I mean, those were announced. Whether they still come out, I don't know. I mean, I guess these are kind of like treading lightly here to see how some of these other ones do. But yeah, the Moana thing's weird because like they have the sequel to the animated film coming out this winter.
Yeah.
But then they're making another Moana, like they're making a live action Moana movie for 2026 based on Moana. Like it's like they're just.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird when it's one that's that fresh, but I guess there's no rule against them doing that. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Like I think we've talked back and forth about remakes and redos and stuff on this show. It's like when the movie's good, it doesn't really matter, but you can still kind of stand back from it and say, what a boring trend in a way.
What's weird is if it comes out in 2026, it will have been 10 years, which is
that's true.
Boom.
That's true.
It's true. It is kind of wild. Like when they announce it, they announce it at like the 6-7 year mark or a 7 year mark. Well, no, they announced that in 2023. So at the 7 year mark, and you're like, wow, that's really soon. But like your point, like you get to the actual time it comes out, it's like, oh fuck, like that's a decade. That's before my kid was existing. It's like that kind of thing. But yeah, it's the Mouse House. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. But I don't know. I hope this is good. I mean, again, I didn't dislike the 2019 one. It was nothing great to me. I personally love the Lion King, the animated Lion King. It's definitely one of the best up there for me. But if I'm being honest, the hook is Barry Jenkins. Yeah, honestly, that's it.
Right.
Like there's got to be something there for him to want to do this and to have a hand in this, or maybe I hope I'm right, and that everybody that seems to have that sentiment is like knows him well enough to know that pretty much everything he's done is special in some way. And so this is I'll definitely see this for sure, but tread lightly, I guess.
Ultimately, my attitude is totally Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
Good point.
You know,
I like your approach, and I'm gonna just tag along on that one.
Worry-free philosophy.
It's as if I'm gonna be just dancing behind you along.
I know. I would love that.
a little thing along a log or something as we're eating bugs. We'll just do that together.
That sounds like a good way. That might be the new format for this show. Us dancing on a log, eating bugs.
Any other I think that was only really the big trailer. Anything news related, or Ronald, did you want to mention any of your Ronald's Corner physical media? What do we call that?
Let's get physical with Ronald, or something.
Let's get physical. Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about one movie that I saw. Real quick before that, I saw Roadhouse, Amazon. What a mean-spirited fucking movie, man. What a mean movie. It was like if Roadhouse was like ass kicking and fun loving. This was murder and more murder. There was so much murder in it that it made me feel crazy. I'm like, why is he murdering this person? Why is this person being choked to death? Why is this person being thrown into water? Why is somebody being eaten by an alligator? Yeah, so much death. And so much
crocodile.
And it was casual. He was killing people, and the police weren't doing anything about it. It was like
they were in the back. They were in the pocket. Like they're on the payroll.
Jesus Christ! Well,
it's mean. You're not wrong. It's mean, but I thought it was fun.
It was fun. It was fun.
I can't lie. I feel like Jake was all in on just like totally sells the whole thing for me.
And Conor McGregor just comes in like a tornado.
I love how he walks. He walks so weird.
Where the fuck is everybody at? Where the fuck? He said fuck so many times. Very interesting character. He is a combination of the Lucky Charms, Leprechaun, and an MMA fighter just together. And he has like this really intense smile that doesn't leave his face, even when he's getting beat up. So it's like really strange to watch.
I'm curious. We talked about this on the podcast. Maybe when we talked about it closer when it came out. Did you take notice? Well, first off, did you ever watch the videos I mentioned about the way they shot the fight sequences?
The way they shot the like kicking the broom to like put it in another.
Could you see that in any of the stunts? Like, did you notice that, or did they look good, bad, never registered?
It never registered, but also I'm like taking in the story first, and I kind of want to rewatch it because I didn't know anything about that, and then I forgot about I forgot about it.
Yeah, I think it was so fresh in my mind having seen that when I watched it, I was looking for it, and I could definitely I could definitely see certain sequences where it was very clear having known it. But, like when we talked about it, that was a month or so or more ago. Like, and without saying it before you told me what you thought, I was kind of curious if you remembered it or if you just kind of watched it with like it's whatever. I didn't. I mentioned it, but like it wasn't in front of your mind.
I like the characters too. Like I thought that everybody was very likable.
Yeah, I love the actress from Shrinking. I can never remember her name.
Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica something. I can't remember her last name.
Jessica Williams.
She's not in it a ton, but when she is, I just love.
You know, she's 6 feet tall.
I believe it. She's huge. Well, I mean, in Shrinking, she's like right there with Jason Segel, who's like a huge guy. Like he's huge.
Like eye to eye with him.
Yeah.
My physical media report. Okay.
Let's get physical.
Right. So I suggested The Wave. After doing some research, I realized that I had not seen the movie Quake. The Quake. It is a direct sequel to The Wave, and I watched it. It is so fun and so crazy. So it actually is related to the same story. It's not the source of the tsunami actually isn't what they think it is, and then it gets a little more complicated. So if you want to see the direct sequel to The Wave, The Quake is it. Watch that shit. And then, man, unfortunately, in order to get American films, sometimes you got to go to Germany. I don't know what it is about Germany, but they have an insanely intense 4K restoration following, and they tend to do American films. I don't know why. And sometimes that's the only place you can get some of the 4Ks. So
wait. So you went to Germany to get a 4K DVD?
No, I ordered it from a German man.
No. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Shipping
I
options.
had to clarify that. So 2 A24 movies that I'm pretty big fan of. One is X. Big fan of this Ty West. Come on, Ty. This is a media book, which is a little thicker than a regular, if you look at it. It typically will come with behind the scenes stuff that the director creates, stills of the movie, stuff like that. So media books, if you want to get like a extra special version, look for a media book version. Germany tends to do them, and they're really pretty nice. And the second film, which is for some reason no 4K here, The Iron Claw.
Wow.
These are both supposed to be incredible transfers. So looking forward
Let me
to
ask you
watching
something.
them.
And this is
Sure.
probably, I'm sure every listener that we have when it gets to this part of the show has technical questions for you.
Sure.
So this is on behalf of all of us.
Yeah.
When you buy these discs from other countries,
Yes.
is there any issue like with the way your player can decode or region stuff? Yeah. Ronald,
That question
did that knock you off your seat? Holy shit.
My chair broke.
Steve, I don't think he wanted to answer that question.
He's like, that's a really good one.
No, he faked that. He faked that so he wouldn't have to answer the question. Oh, my chair broke.
Well, your floor molding looks great. I can tell you that.
He doesn't want to talk about illegally importing media.
Oh my God. Somehow that made it through customs.
I don't know where my camera is.
It was on the floor. It was looking at the floor molding. Wow, that's a good one.
My chair broke. Holy shit. I gotta stand up for the rest of the podcast.
I prefer it that way, yeah.
Okay. Holy shit.
We're gonna keep this one short. So you want
Yeah. This is great, man. This is good. This is good footage right here. I think your video completely dropped out too.
I was really wondering, like, is this episode? This is good, but we need a little something to kick it up.
Holy shit. What the fuck, man?
I can't wait to watch this and go slow-mo on the point where I see his face. There was a split second where you could see his face go like.
Well, I'm going to. I can. Of course, I'm going to
the thumbnail. Yeah,
and I'm going to do the frame by frame on that.
You got to.
Oh.
I'm telling you, there's a split second I saw it where you could see him thinking about his entire life.
Hold on. Holy shit.
Oh man.
Can you see me? Okay.
There he is.
Oh shit. That was fucking scary.
That was.
Oh, I could tell.
Ronald, thank you so much. You know how like a show gets to a point where like the rhythm of the show is surprising. Like what episode is there going to be a big twist? What episode is there going to be a character death? This is episode 412. This isn't even like a big deal for us, but we just had a casualty on the show. We lost a chair.
Yeah.
I want to see.
That was a hard-hitting question right there.
Of you sitting in that chair, like all the good times you've had sitting in that chair.
Yeah, this is a very old. So the people that we bought the house from have these like
had a good 60-year run.
Yeah. This chair is shit, and I knew it was shit. Jesus Christ. Almost died in front of you. Okay. To answer the question.
Yeah.
So typically,
and then he falls back again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my legs broke. Oh, my legs broke. 40-year-old legs broke.
Holy shit. Oh God. Oh, that's fucking scary, man. I'm still like recovering.
Maybe you should sit down and point your camera down just so you don't fall.
Sit cross-legged on the floor.
I'll be okay. That was fucking scary, guys. You really got to experience like a real moment for me. Like I'm not scared very often. I was fucking petrified.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
That was amazing.
Let me reel it in. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You got this.
Okay. Typically, 4Ks are made region free on purpose, right? It's like an agreement that they made when it comes to physical media. But Steve, you gonna make me laugh.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
You go.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Almost died.
That's what I needed today, man.
With this video, when the video finishes processing, I'm gonna try to clip it out for you and show it to you because I was fucking petrified.
I said there was a second, like a millisecond, where I saw your face as it flipped down. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. We're never gonna get back on track. We're never gonna get back on track. Okay, we're professionals. We're professionals. 412 plus episodes.
I was like, is this it?
This is it.
I was looking at it bright light. I was like, is it? I'm gone. I'm falling into an abyss. Oh my god. Okay, for real. Let me try to answer the question.
Yeah.
So typically,
I'm not gonna make it. You trying to be serious right now? Oh, okay, no, we can do this. Yeah. This is not happening anymore. Go ahead.
We're professionals.
All right, for real. So typically,
regional stuff.
Typically, what'll happen is it'll be region free, which typically is good for 4K stuff. But what they've done is they've kind of made it shitty for people. So like on purpose, they'll make certain movies not region free, region B or whatever. It's typically region B, where it's being sold. But long story short,
did you just fucking make that up? Region free is going to be region B?
No. Region B is like Germany. That's like the area.
Okay. Where's region A?
America.
Oh, obviously.
Region. Yeah. Region B. And that's other regions, but okay, so Blu-rays typically are in the other region. So like those aren't region free, but 4Ks are typically region free.
Okay.
These happen to be region free, actually. Oh my god.
That's cool that they make them like that, because I don't know, the only reference I remember buying stuff and like there being a point when I was really collecting physical media, like hardcore. Right, you had to have like a region free player. You remember that?
I remember buying a region free player, like bare bones player, just for that purpose.
Exactly.
And I only had a few that I needed it for, but still, it's like that. Yeah, sometimes you knew the only version of this movie that was that had been digitized properly or had this bonus feature or whatever. So it was sort of a collector's thing.
So I do have a region free, like my Blu-ray player is like a Oppo. For any of the collectors, Oppo's like they sell online for like $4,000 now, but I got one off of Facebook for like $500. A guy just didn't want it, and I was like, "Are you sure you want to sell this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll sell it." He was nearby. I paid him. He wanted cash. I gave him cash, and this thing is like region free, and it's equipped to handle. It can upscale. It does DTS, Atmos, all the major formats.
Very cool.
And it happens to be region free with a couple tweaks. But yeah, so last thing I'll say is like they try to make it, they'll like purposefully make them the region of the origin of the Blu-ray on purpose. So that so like A24 may make a deal. They're like, okay, we're gonna come out with our version at some point, but you can Turbine, which is a very popular company that makes like they do a lot of horror stuff. Mm-hmm. Turbine's done X. I think they've done Pearl, and they've also done Jesus, what else have they done? There's another horror film they did pretty recently. High Tension. They did High Tension.
Oh, nice.
And so what'll wind up happening is they'll lock those directly to, but supposedly this was supposed to be the format they freed us of this. And 80% of the movies that you buy are region free. You should check. But typically you'll find like there may be a movie that you want to get that's only coming out in Germany or France. But luckily, because it's an American movie, it'll have an American track. You know, so that's kind of the cool part.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, I went on this rant about.
That's all right.
Oh no,
we went on it with you willingly and gladly.
Resume. You know how something like they always talk about, like, as a president, we need like a calming presence to kind of bring us back together after a disaster as our country. After that whole fall, we needed you to kind of give us some hard facts about.
I'm glad I could do that.
Yeah, about the physical media thing. I do want to say it was Stephen King who tweeted about Infested.
Yeah,
being really good. And as I pull it up, I see just tons of people talking about how creepy crawly is, and like that basically people saying that people saying like, I have no problem with spiders in real life, but this movie horrified me. I can't imagine being an arachnophobe and watching this film, and everyone seems to be talking about how well made it is and how much the characters are the kind you love. And I saw someone compare it to Attack the Block.
Yes,
the kind of feel of it. And that's, I mean, if I didn't already have myself on the hook because of everything else, I think that comparison would bring me in, because I think Attack the Block is a great, kind of turns out to be sort of an underrated sleeper in a way. People don't talk about it as much as they did for a few years there, but that that's a great way to approach a kind of like a creature feature. Keep it containable and keep it low budget or whatever. I can't wait to see this.
very cool.
So Steve, why don't you talk a little bit about the big movie that's in theaters that you saw, since you're the only one of us, I think, that made it out to see something new. I couldn't get out to the theaters. It's been a crazy busy week. So you saw Challengers.
I saw Challengers earlier this week. Zendaya, Mike Feist, Josh O'Connor, directed by Luca Guadagnino. And interestingly enough, I was reading about this production. Justin Kuritzkis is a screenwriter. This is his feature screenwriting debut. And he's got another film coming out later this year with Luca called Queer that stars Daniel Craig. And he's adapting Don Winslow's City on Fire, which is supposed to be like an amazing book that's like a hot property in terms of coming out soon. It's got Austin Butler in it, but that's in production too. But yeah, this is his first feature film. But yeah, I don't know. The trailer was great for this. Great young, exciting cast. Zendaya's maybe the best out there right now of her generation. I think. I think she's incredible, and everything she's in, I'll see just because of her involvement, and she's a producer on the film. But I think Mike Feist, most people probably know him more recently from the West Side Story remake that even we just mentioned earlier on this show. And Josh O'Connor, I think probably most people know from The Crown. He was Prince Charles in that. So, this is our trio of the film. And it's basically, if you haven't seen the trailer, it's basically Zendaya's character is a former tennis prodigy who basically had a relationship with these two guys that were doubles partners, and ends up with one of them in life. And years later, they kind of meet each other at a tournament. And through this match at the tournament, in the film's present day, you basically start to learn about their relationships with one another and with her and with tennis through flashbacks that kind of lead up to the final match point of this showdown that the movie opens on. But I thought this movie was great, honestly. I'm kind of hit or miss on some of Luca's films. I feel like the pacing of this movie is amazing. The Reznor and Ross score is great. You'll look online now and like people are saying it's like a soundtrack of just bangers. I mean, it's so good. It's kind of like house music, and it kind of serves a purpose in the film, like whether it's an actual tennis match or a match of personality or kind of maneuvering a relationship with one another. There's this cue that they use in the film to kind of signal there's a match happening of some sort in the film, and it just works so well. Again, I like the flashback nature of telling the story. I think each one is earned and kind of adds to the moment that we're sitting in with this match happening. I think present day in the film is 2019, but as it comes back and forth between the past and the present, each time we return, we have another piece of information that kind of fills in the pieces of this puzzle that we're trying to understand, of like the importance of the relationship between her and her husband, her and the other gentleman, the other guy. So in the film, she's married to Mike Feist, and Josh O'Connor is the friend and the former partner, tennis partner. But yeah, this is just like a really exciting film. I think it's very entertaining. It's paced great. It's like a 2 hour and 10 minute movie, but it moves really quick. An ending that may not satisfy all, but it's kind of one of those endings where I feel like it's not really about how the movie ends. That really is the takeaway from the film. But I left a little unsure how I felt about the ending, but the more it sat with me, the more I kind of came around to really appreciating it. But as a whole, definitely really liked the movie a lot. I think of his films, it's maybe one of my favorites that he's done. And I mean, honestly, all three of them, it's interesting because I was thinking about this. I saw it with friend of the show, Lauren, and we were talking, where I mentioned that, like, how this was supposed to come out back in the fall, maybe more around award season, as Dune Part 2 was. So it's funny to like imagine a world where this came out and Dune Part 2 last year, and how that would have affected award season, because I do think all three of them in this movie probably could have been involved in the awards conversation had this movie come out when it was intended to. But it got pushed because of the strikes and everything. But yeah, just really, really great performances. Again, Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor, I thought, were just exceptional. And the movie kind of, sort of, is like Josh O'Connor's film. It's kind of where I fall in the movie. I mean, they probably have pretty equal screen time, but his character, I think, is probably, performance-wise, I think the real standout for me. But it's a definite recommend. I think it kind of underperformed a little bit, or kind of came right in at estimates, but this is one of those like middle budget films that everybody says they don't make anymore, and they're making a few of them right now, and some of them are not doing so great in theaters, or not performing like they should be. I think this was like a $55 million budgeted film. I think it opened to 15 domestic and maybe another 5 or 6 internationally. So if you want to support movies like this, and that sounds at all interesting, or you like any of the players here, it's definitely something I would recommend. I think even if you don't fall in line with most of Luca's films, or you haven't seen any of them, I would say just go, because it's just 3 great performances. And it's a movie about tennis, but don't let that turn you off if you're not into tennis or don't know much about tennis. It's really not about tennis. It's about this like dynamic of their relationships with one another. And it's sexy as hell, I gotta say. Like, it's just.
Well, I mean, isn't that what the hype was, and what the like?
I mean, it's
that's
weird,
what
because
the meme is. The meme that's going around is like
3 tickets
from various movies saying 3 tickets for challengers.
Right.
But I think that like that was definitely part of the initial, like when the trailer or the teaser and the whatever started being released, that was the main thing that people were latching on to. But I, Steve, this is one of those movies where I, just from the responses I've seen, there's this weird confidence I have that, like, oh, it must have a certain entertainment value.
It does.
It's just
It really
undeniable.
does.
Because it's being talked about and written about in that way, where people are like, it's kind of about tennis, and it's kind of a romance, but it's kind of this, and it's kind of not. And it's like, I think when you hear that kind of chatter and everybody's kind of generally mixed positive, it usually means you're at least going to get carried along by this movie. It's going to do something. And I think Luca, his films have that element of, like, there usually is some, even, I know Suspiria was one that nearly drove you out of the theater. And I wasn't a great fan of that film, but I did think that it had some like sequences that were really effective and really startling.
Sure.
So I don't know. I just think he's a filmmaker who puts together, there's a slickness to what he's capable of. And I guess maybe I don't mean it slick in terms of like featureless cool photography or whatever, but just like there's something about when he puts together a sequence, or the camera moves or whatever. I've been hypnotized by his movies before. So to me, the notion that he's working with, like, it's kind of a sports movie, it's kind of a threesome film, it's kind of a sex, romance, whatever. It might be even more of a comedy than people, like, I've heard more people talking about it having funny moments that aren't really sold.
Definitely.
In the trailer or any of the other hype. So I don't know. I'm interested in seeing, like you said, an adult movie that's not connected to IP, that's just maybe got some good acting in it and some interesting filmmaking. So if I had been able to see a movie this week, this definitely would have been the one. Because you could just like, oh, people are talking about it because it feels like a real movie.
I mean, and honestly, like I feel like if anything, maybe the marketing oversells like the sexiness of it. I don't know, in a way, because I heard that from a few people. Because I mean, it's again, it's more the relationship and like the dynamics of it all than like the actual explicit,
Right.
act of or anything gratuitous or anything like that. Because that's not really present. But there's tons of chemistry, tons of tension, and like in those moments, that's just that, especially the way they played in the film. It just oozes like sex, and the sex appeal of
Oh
these
wow.
actors and actresses. It just and them together is just um it's just it was really good. It was way better than I don't even, actually I don't know. I had pretty high expectations for it because the trailer was great and I'd heard really good things about it. And again, I like everybody involved. So but yeah, it definitely was really, really entertaining, and I definitely would recommend this for sure. And yeah, again, and the takeaway is like this screenwriter, for this being this first feature, and then he's got another Luca film this year, and then a pretty big movie in City on Fire in probably in the next couple of years. It's this guy's doing great, and he's also married to Celine Song, so good on you.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's who did Past Lives. If anybody
Right.
wasn't sure.
No. A lot of people are like, that's another meme that's going around, is saying,
Yeah,
that these two people that wrote these films are married.
it's crazy. It's awesome.
So
Yeah. So that was me. What else did you
that's your
guys see?
meme
Anything?
update from me.
That's me. That's it.
I mean, I don't know. Everyone's been talking about Baby Reindeer. I watched that on Netflix.
Oh, how was that? Yeah, that's in the queue.
It's really interesting. I guess it would be cool to talk about once we've seen it, because it does get into some, where it goes is very interesting and dark, and it's an autobiographical piece, so that right there gives it a certain level of interest when it goes to certain places. I don't know how based strictly on the facts it is, but it is one of those things where the basic arc of it is a uh um what's his name, something Gad, Richard Gad, I think is his
Mm.
name, who is the he's like a monologuist and a comedian who from Scotland, who yeah, like had this experience that he turned into a one-man show that then got turned into a Netflix show. So he's like writing and I don't know if
Wow.
how much of the creative side of it he is, but I know that it's like his show. Um and it's based sort of on something that happened to him, and he's playing himself but not quite himself. He changes his name. So I don't want to lean too much on the fact that it's a true story, but I do think it gains a certain kind of groundbreaking quality because of that nature, that it's someone kind of taking their own story and kind of blowing it up in this way. But
Right.
even if it were a fictional story, the things it gets at is darker and presented in a way that's kind of, I don't know, in a way that I haven't quite seen it before. And issues of grooming and and past trauma and stalking and
Wow.
all kinds of stuff comes up in this. And it's not perfect, but it is well made and well acted. And when it gets to the end, like there were some things in the last couple of episodes that I was sort of bumped by, but it's one of those things where the more you think about it, the more you, I don't know, the more the issues brought up by the show just kind of linger, and particularly there's a point where they flash back to show sort of what happened to this guy before the story began, and that particular storyline, episode, whatever, is pulled off so well and just with such believability. I don't know. I feel like in some ways this might be a significant piece of storytelling that people are going to return to, and again, once you've seen it, it'll be easier to
Yeah.
talk about it without ruining some of the, I won't call them surprises. It's not like a twisty thriller, but it does have like reveals. And some part of me thought, oh, this is 7 episodes, like it's roughly 3.5, 4 hours total. Like part of me thinks it could have been a really great movie. It feels a little drawn out, like a lot of Netflix series will, but it's only 30-minute episodes, and I do think
Right.
there are some things you wouldn't have had time for in a movie that make the story richer. So it's definitely worth the ride. It's not one of those Netflix things where you're wishing it was trimmed down considerably. Um, and I do think he's a very interesting performer who gets to be funny and affecting, and gets to go to some really dark places that you
Wow.
might not be picturing. So
And I have a question for you about that. I saw an article online before we were recording, I guess because this is kind of like a breakout hit for Netflix and kind of one of these examples of like they didn't know what they had and now it's like caught on and it's a big hit. And the idea was that, I haven't seen this, so John, you can speak to this maybe. Like it being the kind of film or I mean the kind of series where it being available all at once is kind of what is making it successful or making it kind of catch on as like an it show right now. and that being like an asset for the show and for Netflix versus a movie or a series like Fallout, which is a huge hit for Amazon, but pretty universally is agreed that it should have been released weekly like a lot of their shows are. And initially was planned on being released weekly, and then it was changed in the weeks leading up to its premiere. Like where that show was a huge hit, but that was kind of like a problem, or it was kind of hurt the show or hurt Amazon because of like what it could have been had they done the weekly release, in terms of sustaining relevancy or buzz or whatever the case may be. And we talked about that before in the show a little bit. Like certain shows feel like bingeable or like it's good that it's all available at once. But I was kind of curious, like, do you have a feeling about that idea of like this? I don't know if you watched Fallout.
I have not watched Fallout yet, but I did. I already, like, when Nikki and I were watching Baby Reindeer, I said to her at some point, I'm kind of glad this is a binge show, even though I felt like it did start to feel a little bit drawn out to me, maybe at parts.
Okay.
But I think if it had not been a binge show, returning a week later and then a week later and then a week later to this story, it might have started to feel a little too heavy or bleak or just not like something I wanted to come back to enough.
Right.
But watching it kind of as you want to watch some more? Oh, we're going to break. We're going to do some housework. We're going to whatever. Then we're going to sit down and want to watch, the 30-minute episodes. It's easy to watch one or two. And then in a couple of days, just like kill the 7-episode run. So I think in a way, the binge model worked for this because it wasn't enough of a show. It didn't do the thing that a show does where, oh, this episode is all about this side character. And this episode is like this separate thing. It was such a through line about one character kind of going through this thing. That's why I said it kind of felt like it could have been a movie. I do think this is a show that might benefit more from the binge model where you get into the mood of it, you get kind of sucked in and then you finish it rather than it being like, oh, I want to keep coming back week after week to this sort of character study about trauma and the things that damaged people do to each other. I don't know that I would come back for that. Whereas something like Fallout, again, having not seen it, but it being sort of a genre serialized story, I could almost see a story like that being more engaging. Like, for instance, a show I'm watching right now that's weekly is The Jinx Part 2 on Max. And every time an episode ends, I'm like, oh, which is 2 now. I've been like, oh, I'd like to watch another one, but I think I'm glad that I'm going to take a little break and come back into it. I think there's a part of me that thinks that show functions better when you're getting in, like, maybe watching 2 hours in a row, it would wear me out, but coming back to it a week later, my interest level is back. So I could see Fallout being the type of show that would be served by like The Boys or something, like a season-long conversation where, oh my gosh, episode 6 or episode 7 is the big one. It almost seems like hedging bets with a show like that, right? To dump it all at once. It's like, we want to get the moment. But it is true, the conversation doesn't last as long or isn't as loud if people aren't watching it at the same time with each other. So, but that's my next. I can't wait to dig into Fallout. I've heard too many good things about it. I just haven't had.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
All right, Ronald, have you watched anything?
No, the Roadhouse was it. Roadhouse was it.
The first 5 minutes of Dinner in America put you off of entertainment.
Yes.
You slammed your chair down and broke it.
Done with all entertainment.
I don't think I got anything else either. Okay, so next week we got Infested on Shudder as the new required viewing. And then I don't know what else are we going to talk about next week, guys. Are we going to be able to go see Fall Guy maybe this weekend or between now and then? Or
I might be able to.
It comes out on Friday. It's the big Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt action romance spectacular. I'd like to try to see it, so maybe we can see that, or some of us can see it. That'd be cool to talk about.
This is a Ryan Gosling household, so I think I can get everyone in my family interested in that movie this weekend. Henry.
I say get it while you can, John.
Well, Henry's. It's just funny to see who his guys are. He's been through little phases with different people. Like there was a while where he was watching every Jake Gyllenhaal movie, and But Ryan Gosling is, I think, one of his sort of, and I guess that makes sense. If I was a young guy, I would probably think he was super cool too, just because he can sort of do whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I think I could actually convince that kid to emerge from his chamber and be seen in public with me.
Oh God. All right, cool. Well, hopefully we'll see that, one of us or some of us. And then Ronald, we can talk about what is it called? Dark Matter or
Dark
what's
Matter,
the Apple? Yeah, the Apple
Dark
series.
Matter.
The embargo will be over by the time next week's episode comes out, so we can talk about that new series on Apple TV Plus, starring Joel Edgerton, who I absolutely love.
Yeah.
So that's what we got next week. That sounds like a show next week.
Yeah.
Moviesmovie.com is the website. You can go there to subscribe to the podcast, listen to past episodes, or even jump over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/moviesmovie podcast, and subscribe and make sure you turn the notifications on so that you are aware of new episodes. And honestly, if there's ever been an episode to understand why you should be a part of the visual element, it will have been this one, just to see Ronald look death in the face and say, not today.
Yeah.
Not today.
That was wild.
And sets up the debut of his new chair for next week's episode.
Yeah, they're high expectation. I got to say, coming in hot with the announcement of your $500 deal on a $4,000 physical media player when you just broke your 60-year-old wooden rinky-dink chair, I'd say invest in a chair, Ronald. I'd say get a chair.
I'm gonna do it. I need one.
Next week's gonna be big. You're gonna have to show it off next week. I want a complete turn it around. I hope it spins. I mean, I'm being optimistic. Yeah. Maybe it rotates. Maybe it reclines. I don't know. But that's what you got to look forward to in episode 413.
Maybe there's gonna be some USB ports in it.
Oh shit! Don't make promises you can't deliver on.
Yeah, that's true.
Set that bar too high. We're gonna lose listeners, Ronald. Thank you guys so much.
And over deliver. That's
right. You got to be like, it's gonna be a stool. I'm gonna sit on a block, and then come in hot with something sexy.
I got you.
Yeah. I can't wait to see the new chair. I mean, I'm gonna subscribe just to be able to see the new chair. All right, guys. Good seeing you both. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, you've made our day. Thanks.
Bye.